Omer marks the death of a prominent Jewish rabbi credited with writing one of the most important works of Jewish mystical thought. One of the biggest celebrations in all of New York took place in the Jewish village Kiryas. This suburb is on its way to becoming the first Hasidic town in America. And as I-24 news anchor Shayna Eschulin explains, it has not been an easy path.
A roaring fire, dancing crowds. Hasidim in this corner of New York State celebrate the Jewish holiday of Lag BaOmer, which commemorates the anniversary of the death of one of the most iconic figures in Jewish history. But there hasn't been much celebrating in this area, an hour north of New York City, where two communities have been living in this one town for nearly half a century, profoundly divided by religion and culture. But now, after a vote, the village of Kiryas, almost completely Hasidic, is seceding from the mostly Gentile town of Monroe, New York. After years of conflict and land disputes, the village wanted to expand its borders. The town pushed back.
There's no democracy in the town here.
This divide played out in town meetings and court.
They're not acknowledging the impact, the real and true, let's talk about the legitimate impact it would have to bring up to 50,000 more people almost immediately to this area.
Can anybody tell anybody where to live?
Stop having children, because I'm tired of paying them.
We have a right, according to the law. We want to be close to our kids, grandchildren, and grand-grandchildren.
3 babies on average are born every day in Kiryas.
Kiryas School Superintendent Joel Petlin believes there was prejudice behind some of the town's grievances over the Hasidic community's desire to grow.
Anti-Semitism during the process while the two communities were fighting over very precious resources in the town of Monroe.
It's not your faith, your culture, your dress, your customs, which we take issue with, but your behavior.
Neighbors insist this wasn't a war over religion. They say their rural town was being eaten away and increasingly controlled politically by Hasidim with their large and powerful voting bloc.
I just think that there's so much animosity between the two groups.
What creates conflict is when people live near each other and have no interest in any kind of interaction or integration.
Do you like living here?
Sure, I love it.
Why do you like living here?
Because I'm between my people. I have no difference, you know. We all go to pray the same time, we come home the same time, we eat the same time, we do everything the same time.
The whole reason Hasidim moved here from New York City in the 1970s was to get as far away from the secular world as possible.
They see the modern world as filled with sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
And Kiryas has everything needed for their way of life. Space to celebrate holidays, kosher shops, even a culturally appropriate special needs school.
So they all speak They speak Yiddish when they're younger, but we bring in English as the years go on.
And despite being one of the poorest communities in the nation, crime is low.
Jewish law does not encourage criminal activity.
When it becomes a town in 2020, Kiryas will keep those traditional Jewish values, but change its name to the Town of Palm Tree, the English translation of their head rabbi's last name. And most importantly, under the terms, Hasidim will have more land to grow while no longer having a say in their neighbors' politics. Though both sides voted overwhelmingly for the split last fall, few want to talk about it now.
No thoughts at all? Separating?
Sorry.
No talk? Okay, say anything on camera. No thing.
Petlin is optimistic.
Now they have 2 different communities with 2 different desires, and they're working in 2 different directions. I think that works beautiful.
An amicable divorce brought on by a gap far too wide to bridge, and where being a good neighbor means keeping your distance. In Kiryas, Shayna Eschulin, I-24 News.
More on this story is available on i24.tv. You can